The strange career resurgence of Nicolas Cage continues with Pig, written and directed by Michael Sarnowski. Vanessa Block also helped write the movie, and stars Nicolas Cage as Rob, a man who is living in the Oregon wilderness, along with a truffle hunter pig that he loves and adores, and it's a simple life. He cooks for the pig helps him find truffles, he sells these truffles to his friend Amir, who turns around and gives him some supplies and goods and everything, and he basically is just a man that is trying to basically get away from something. Maybe he's just trying to live the simple life. Why would this man that seemingly is quite skilled at cooking suddenly be living in the woods? We find that out as the movie goes along. And then one night, well, it turns out that somebody else was looking for this pig, and somebody steals some pig, aka Rob's pig, and now he is on the hunt to find his pet pig. Not just because of the truffles, but because he loves the pig. So I'm going to say right now that this movie isn't going to be for everybody. It's very artsy, and also Nicolas Cage turns in a pretty damn good performance. Unlike in Willy's Wonderland, where he didn't say shit, he says some stuff here, but he doesn't say a lot. However, what he says really does speak volumes to how troubled his character is. And it focuses on a certain amount of people, while also opening up the possibilities of like, oh, why would somebody suddenly leave, like, a life in the city and go live in the wilderness? Why would somebody just abandon the people they love? Or why would somebody do, certain weird things just seemingly out of nowhere? And these things are visited, throughout the movie, and we find out, various layers with the main characters. And even some of the side characters have a good purpose as far as advancing the plot. It is a simple plot, I will say that, but there's a deep, meaning with some of these characters, and you see why they would do some of the things that they do, and Nicolas Cage was fucking phenomenal in this, I will say that. Alex Wolff played Amir, and also Cassandra Violet played the character of Laurie. She was quite good in this as well, and Darius Pierce plays Edgar, and then there's a few other roles as well. And I'm going to say this much right now, that while this wasn't a perfect movie, it's from Neon Studios, and Neon Studios next to A24 is my favorite movie studio. So whenever I see their, particular, logos attached to a movie, I'm in. And this was pretty goddamn good. In fact, one of the best movies of the year. While not ultimately perfect, there are a few issues I have. This was quite goddamn good, anchored by Nicolas Cage's performance that is both touching and troubling, and you also understand exactly why he does what he does, because he's a simple man that has a particular set of skills. No, this is not Taken in the wilderness. This is just a man that has his skills, did what he did, and, just wants to live a certain life his way. He has just suddenly decided, I want to live things, I want to live it my way. But there are, of course, there's the backdrop of the story, like, any pet owners would naturally go to any length to get their particular pet back. Whether it's a pig, a lizard, a dog, a cat, a cow, a horse, it doesn't matter. If you love an animal, and anybody that's an animal person, if you're like me, and I know I am, you would do anything to get your pet back. I've had cats and dogs in my life. I've had pet rabbits, and I would do anything to get them back. I have a particular, adorable cat now that was a rescue. That part of the story really did get to me, and that was actually really good, because, we would go to any lengths to get our pets back. So naturally, after this pet pig goes missing, he decides to go, find his friend Amir, and, through that, we find out various things as to why, Rob perhaps left the life that he originally had. And I'll get into spoilers here in a little bit, but there's some weird shit. Now, there was one particular thing where I don't know why in the world they decided to throw that in there, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But the ultimate story is him coming to grips with what he left behind, trying to, ingratiate himself back into, the city life of Portland just enough to get his pig back. But then he has to visit people and everything, and people are like, well, why did you do what you did? Like, we love you. You were a great chef. You still probably are a great chef. But, like, my God, you influenced me so damn much. And there's also a story that Amir tells about his parents that ties into the movie a little bit later. That's very, very moving, I will say that. So Nicolas Cage 100% anchors this movie, but Alex Wolff was really good as Amir as well. There was a lot of good stuff here in this movie. And even with the few issues I have, it ultimately is well worth seeing. It's like $6.99 on Amazon Prime or Amazon Instant Video. And I mean, it's not something that you need to go see in theaters, but it's absolutely something you could sit down and watch. And it's only like 85, 86 minutes, so it's not very long. It's well worth it. Nicolas Cage, after Willy's Wonderland, after some other stuff, he's going to have an interesting career resurgence. Like, this is a pretty phenomenal role, proof that he is a very good actor. That, like we all thought that he would be, that he was back in the 90s and early 2000s before things kind of went tits up. But yeah, ultimately, very, very good. There are a few times where I was like, okay, we're doing a little bit too much of the padding of, just him walking around or other people walking around. But it's very artistically shot. The landscape, like, whether it's the Oregon wilderness or the city of Portland, beautifully done and dreary, because if you've been to the city of Portland, there are many dreary areas. Believe me, I know. And that's, a nice little bit, like, a little theme to it, where things aren't always what they seem, and then, we find out a little bit later what happens with the, with all the stuff as far as him looking for his pig and why things happen the way they did. So now I'm going to get into spoilers, but do see this movie. It is well worth it. Spoilers, rather. 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, so he talks to Amir, and through a series of events, he tells Amir, oh, by the way, I knew this guy Edgar that is running this underground, fighting scene among restaurant workers. Why? I really don't know why. I don't think we ever found why, but that might explain why he decided to leave that life behind. Also, Rob is a very, very, renowned chef. Like, he understood everything. He understood how to please the customers because he was just that goddamn good. And also, Amir tells a story about his dad and his mom going to a restaurant, and they had a marriage mostly of convenience and everything. The mother is now sick, but the mother had her issues, but she was very, very happy. They were both very happy after this particular night, rather, they went to a restaurant. And it turns out that Rob was the chef. He made them happy, and that's why Amir feels almost indebted to him, why he bought the truffles and gave him the goods and stuff like that. But he's also at odds with his father. His father, who ended up being the person that, ultimately had the pig stolen. And I'm just going to spoil right now because this is a spoiler section. The pig has died. We don't see the pig dead, because otherwise I would have had to downgrade the movie. Now, I think it was pretty obvious the pig was going to die, and that's really terrible. And again, it's what we would all do to, we would all react very emotionally knowing that our favorite pet passed away. Whether we're in the Oregon wilderness, whether we're in a house, whether we're on the goddamn space station. If we have animals in the fucking space station, man, it's going to be really awkward to clean that litter box and try to throw that stuff out. Anyway, so Rob is naturally upset about that, but before that, he does, try to find out from from Amir's dad, hey, what's going on here? Like, the dad offers him a bunch of money to basically get him to go away. And Amir and Rob come up with this idea to basically cook a dinner. It's the same dinner that Amir's parents ate. That's very emotional. And then he tells him the pig died. Naturally, Rob is upset. And he goes back into the wilderness to his cabin, stuff like that. And who knows what actually happens. Because he's just sitting there, naturally very distraught, as anybody would be losing a pet. And that's really about it right there. I did like the exchanges between Rob and Amir. That was actually really nice as well. They had a lot of good dialogue here. And obviously this is it's artsy, but it has enough of a budget where it doesn't look cheap, but it has a washed out feel with some parts of the city, but also has a really cool feel. And just like you feeling, invested and like, practically ingrained in, the nature is ingrained into you. Like, you just feel like you're right out there in the wilderness, in the cabin, among the rivers and stuff like that. And also you get to see a cute, pig that's, doing, I can't do the oink thing, but, I don't know why I made it sound like a guinea pig with asthma, but basically the pig, gets a little bit of screen time, and that's pretty good. So yeah, really to discuss. Again, there are a few issues I have, but I'm going to give it an A-. It absolutely is well worth watching. This is going to end up being one of my favorite movies of the year, but is it an A? Not quite, but definitely an A-. Well worth watching, and I'm going to be praising this at the end of the year as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.